Welcome to OhSabotage Games, and if you've ever watched a replay and thought, I nailed that corner, so why was the lap still slow, then this video is for you. Most sim racers are convinced they are losing time in the middle of the corner because that is where the car feels busiest and the hardest to control. The uncomfortable truth is that the lap time is rarely lost there. It is lost a lot earlier on corner entry and then quietly punished on corner exit. The reason this is so hard to spot is because the mistake feels committed and aggressive even when it is actually inefficient. In this video, we're going to break down corner entry and exit as one connected process, and more importantly, we're going to connect it to the mistakes you already know you're making, but may not fully understand it yet. Most drivers treat entry and exit as two separate problems. You brake, you turn, and you accelerate. And if something goes wrong, you try to fix it in the moment. The problem is that by the time the car reaches the apex, most of the outcome has already been decided. And you've probably felt this before. You turn in and immediately realise the car is not going to do what you expected. You add more steering, maybe stay on the brake a little bit fraction longer, and tell yourself you will fix it on the exit. What actually happens is that the car runs wide, the throttle has to wait, and the straight that follows feels strangely short. That is the result of a decision made several seconds earlier. Corner entry is where most drivers subconsciously overdrive. The braking marker feels like a challenge, not a reference. You see a faster lap or another driver brake later, and the instinct is to carry more speed in. What usually happens is this: braking stays on a little too long, steering goes in a little too quickly, and the front tyres are asked to do everything all at once. The car does not immediately spin or go off, so it feels acceptable, even competitive, but under the surface, grip is already gone. This is why entries that feel aggressive often produce exits that feel awkward. The car resists rotation, the steering needs more small corrections, and the throttle application never feels quite right. You're not slow because you lack confidence. You're slow because the tyres never had a chance. A correct entry often feels almost boring. The car rotates cleanly and the wheel stays calm in your hands, and nothing dramatic happens. This is usually the lap where you are surprised by the delta at the line. Trail braking is one of the most misunderstood techniques in sim racing, largely because it is often demonstrated at the limit without explaining the foundation underneath it. If trail braking feels inconsistent to you, or like something that you only works occasionally, it's not because you're incapable of doing it. It's because the initial braking phase was too aggressive, or the brake release was rushed. You have probably had laps where trail braking suddenly clicked and the car rotated beautifully, only for the next lap to fall apart. That inconsistency is the clue. Trail braking isn't a trick you turn on, it is the natural result of a controlled entry. Most drivers aim for the apex because it feels like the measurable part of the corner. You either hit it or you do not. When you miss it, it feels like a mistake that needs correcting. In reality, the apex is like a checkpoint. If you arrive there comfortably, the entry was probably right. If you arrive there fighting the car, the problem has already happened. If you regularly find yourself turning twice, adding steering mid-corner, or wondering why the car will not rotate when it should, those are not steering issues, they are symptoms of an entry that asked too much too early. Corner exit is deceptive because the mistake often feels small. A short pause before you throttle, a tiny lift, a correction you barely notice, but that hesitation follows you all the way down the next straight. You have almost certainly experienced this in a race. You feel like you exited the corner reasonably well, but the car behind seems to close effortlessly, or the car ahead just pulls away. That is not because they are braver on the throttle, it's because their exit started earlier. When you cannot apply the throttle smoothly, it is tempting to blame the traction control, setup, or even the car itself. In most cases, the tyres are simply responding to how they were loaded on entry. One of the hardest adjustments to make is accepting that a slower entry can be faster overall. This goes against instinct, especially in qualifying or when chasing someone. Driving for the exit means giving up the feeling of attack on entry in exchange for the results that show up later. It means braking earlier, turning in with intention, and trusting that the lap time will come back to you. Once you make this shift, something interesting happens. Laps become easier to repeat, tyres stay alive longer, mistakes become rarer, and the car starts doing what you expect, rather than constantly needing correction. So, in your next session, stop trying to win the corner on entry, brake firmly, then release smoothly. Aim for calmness, not aggression. Let the car arrive at the apex rather than forcing it. And on exit, unwind the wheel and feed the throttle progressively. Listen to what the tyres are telling you. If the exit feels difficult, do not fix it there. Rewind your thinking back to the entry. Fix the entry and the exit will fix itself. So guys, if this video describes mistakes you recognise in your own driving, you are exactly the audience this channel is for. OhSabotage Games is about racecraft, psychology and understanding why speed works, not just copying what fast laps look like. If you found value here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you want to support the work further, the links below help reinvest directly into making deeper, more practical content. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.